Niccolò Machiavelli, the name that still stirs up intense debate more than 500 years after his death. Known for his pragmatic, often controversial political theories, Machiavelli is a figure who remains deeply relevant in today's world of power and influence. But what can we really learn from him about power, wealth, and the strategy of silence? Today, we'll be diving into the core concepts of Machiavelli's most famous work, The Prince, and how these ideas can help us understand why silence, especially after achieving power, can be a crucial element in maintaining success. Let's start with the foundational idea in Machiavelli's work: power. For Machiavelli, power is the ultimate goal of any ruler. Without power, a leader is just a figurehead, ineffective and easily toppled. But what does it really mean to have power? And how should it be wielded? Power is a tool, not a virtue. Machiavelli didn't see power as a moral concept. He wasn't concerned with whether power was good or bad. Instead, he treated power like a tool. It could be used for good or bad purposes. But the important thing was that it was used effectively. Power for Machiavelli is all about results. If a ruler could maintain power, that ruler had succeeded, regardless of the methods they used to get there. This is where we begin to see the strategic use of silence. Think about it. In order to succeed, a ruler must be seen as strong, decisive, and unyielding. And to maintain that image, a ruler must manage how they're perceived. This brings us to one of Machiavelli's most enduring lessons. Appearances matter more than reality. The image you project is more important than the truth. A ruler's actions, words, and even their personality are often less important than how they are seen by others. If the people believe their leader is powerful, then that leader is powerful. But how do you manage that perception? That's where silence comes in. Imagine a king or prince who, after securing power, starts to become too vocal, too open about their methods and their intentions. This can quickly backfire. Why? Because when you reveal too much, you risk inviting the very scrutiny and challenge you've worked so hard to avoid. Silence, then, is not just a way to keep secrets. It's a way to keep power. Machiavelli's advice is clear. Never reveal too much, especially about your next move. A prince should keep his cards close to his chest. Secrecy is the weapon of the wise ruler. By holding back your true intentions, you maintain control. You keep the people, the court, and potential rivals guessing. This uncertainty works in your favor, making it harder for anyone to counter your moves. Silence creates a sense of mystery, and mystery often translates to power. Appear strong, even if you're weak. Machiavelli famously said that a prince should appear virtuous, even if they aren't. A ruler who presents themselves as strong, decisive, and moral will gain the trust of their people, even if their actions are far from virtuous. The reality of their character doesn't matter as much as the image they project. But in order to maintain that image, silence becomes key. By remaining somewhat aloof and reserved, the ruler can foster an air of mystique, making them seem even more powerful than they might truly be. Think of it this way. In the modern world, leaders, CEOs, and even influencers often maintain a certain level of silence or ambiguity about their strategies. They don't reveal everything up front. Continuing with Machiavelli's ideas, let's dive deeper into the strategic silence that he believed was vital for maintaining power. Machiavelli's advice isn't just about hiding actions. It's about using silence as a tool to control perception and preserve authority. A key part of his strategy is to never reveal too much about one's plans. Silence here becomes a shield, allowing the ruler to act when the time is right, without exposing vulnerabilities. For Machiavelli, too much openness was a liability. Public knowledge of your intentions only gives your enemies the chance to counter your moves. Take the example of Cesare Borgia, a figure often cited by Machiavelli as the embodiment of cunning and strategic silence. Borgia's political maneuverings were marked by careful discretion. He didn't speak of his plans or ambitions until they were fully realized. This kind of secrecy ensured that his enemies couldn't anticipate his next move, keeping them off balance. Machiavelli admired this controlled, calculating approach, arguing that a ruler who speaks too openly risks undermining their own authority. In the world of politics, silence becomes a tool that keeps one's power intact by ensuring that no one can predict or counteract your actions. Now, let's examine why Machiavelli suggests that appearing virtuous is critical, even if the ruler's actions are less than moral. Machiavelli famously argued that it is better for a prince to be feared than loved. But the key here is maintaining a balance between outward appearances and inner actions. A ruler might need to employ ruthless methods, but they should never let the people see it. The public must believe that the ruler is moral, generous, and virtuous. In practice, this means that silence becomes part of the image. If a ruler is always talking about their good deeds, the people will start to expect more from them. But if the ruler remains silent on their methods and only projects an image of virtue, they maintain their power without appearing tyrannical. Machiavelli's view on silence also ties into the idea of avoiding public displays of wealth and power. When a ruler flaunts their riches or openly displays their power, they risk inviting envy and rebellion. In fact, Machiavelli advises against public extravagance precisely for this reason. The wealthy ruler should live modestly, at least in the eyes of the public. The appearance of humility, coupled with the reality of hidden wealth, creates a more stable foundation for power than the ostentatious display of riches. This principle extends to a ruler's emotional control as well. Machiavelli advises rulers to master their emotions and reactions, especially after gaining power. A ruler who reacts emotionally to insults or challenges reveals weakness. Silence here is a form of restraint, a way to maintain composure in the face of provocation. When the ruler remains calm and unshaken, it sends a message of strength and control. The ruler who holds their tongue in the face of criticism doesn't appear fragile or vulnerable. They appear self-assured and confident in their authority. There's also the notion of appearing strong, even if you're weak, which Machiavelli touches on throughout The Prince. If a ruler is perceived as strong, they will command respect, regardless of their actual strength. This is where silence plays a key role. The prince who speaks little, but whose actions speak volumes, can convince others that they are invincible. This strategic use of silence allows a ruler to create a powerful reputation, even if they aren't truly as strong as they appear. It's about building an image that others believe in, even if it doesn't reflect the full truth. In a similar vein, Machiavelli suggests that silence can help avoid unnecessary risks. A ruler who speaks too much about their ambitions or intentions might inadvertently provoke opposition or rebellion. By keeping plans to themselves and speaking only when necessary, the ruler avoids painting a target on their back. In other words, silence allows a ruler to stay unpredictable and prevent moving forward. Let's dive deeper into how Machiavelli's ideas about silence aren't just theoretical. They're practical tools for maintaining power. One of the most profound elements in Machiavelli's thought is his emphasis on controlling the perception of the ruler. What others think of you and how they interpret your actions often matters more than the actions themselves. This is where silence becomes incredibly potent. Machiavelli's advice is simple but powerful. Appear virtuous, even if you are not. The idea here is that a ruler should never reveal too much of their true intentions, especially when it comes to matters of power. Public perception is everything. A ruler who constantly speaks about their actions, who is overly transparent, risks exposing weaknesses, but by maintaining an air of mystery, by withholding the full details of their plans, a ruler can create an image of strength, even when they may be weak or uncertain. This is where silence becomes a mask, a way to project confidence and control, even if you're not in control of every situation. Now, this concept is not just about deceit. It's a pragmatic approach to leadership. Silence can be a strategic decision to maintain authority and to keep others from questioning your decisions. By holding your tongue, you control the narrative around you. For Machiavelli, the appearance of strength and decisiveness is far more important than being genuinely strong or decisive. A ruler who can keep their emotions in check and maintain composure under pressure becomes someone others respect. But if that same ruler starts to speak openly, too honestly, about their vulnerabilities, they expose themselves to ridicule, criticism, and ultimately, the loss of control. A ruler who practices silence also gains more time to think, to plan, and to act without others intervening. When you speak, you often invite opinions, scrutiny, and opposition. But when you remain silent, you take the initiative in shaping the environment around you rather than responding to it. Machiavelli understood that in the art of ruling, sometimes the best strategy is to act without anyone seeing your cards. This uncertainty creates an environment where others, rivals, allies, and even subjects are left guessing about your true intentions. Furthermore, silence allows a ruler to avoid giving away too much information. The more you talk, the more you reveal, and the more you give others the tools they need to either support or sabotage you. Think of a ruler who is constantly bragging about their wealth, their plans, or their victories. Each piece of information shared becomes a weapon that others can use against you. Machiavelli advises against this. He suggests that the wise ruler remains enigmatic, keeping their strategies and resources hidden from view. In this way, silence becomes a form of defense, a way to protect oneself from the ambitions of others. Let's also consider Machiavelli's advice about avoiding the appearance of excessive luxury. He believed that a ruler should avoid flaunting wealth or indulging in public displays of opulence. This doesn't mean that the ruler must live in poverty, but rather that they should avoid giving the public a reason to be envious or resentful. Silence helps here too. By not making grand public statements or holding extravagant displays, the ruler avoids attracting negative attention. The more reserved a ruler's behavior, the less likely they are to provoke jealousy or rebellion. In the political realm, silence also serves as a tool for consolidating power. By not revealing everything to the public, the ruler can keep alliances flexible and maintain control over potential threats. If a ruler reveals too much about their next move, they risk others aligning against them. Machiavelli understood this, and his advice to remain discreet was a way to keep rivals in the dark about your intentions, leaving them unprepared for your next move. Silence, in this context, becomes a tool of dominance, an unspoken promise that the ruler will not be easily swayed or undermined. A practical example of this can be seen in the figure of Cesare Borgia. Borgia's political maneuvering was marked by extreme discretion. He didn't reveal his full plans to anyone. He controlled what was known about his actions, keeping his enemies confused and uncertain. This strategic silence allowed him to act decisively and without interference.